Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Grade 10 Mathematical Literacy, Week 8. I'm so glad to have you all with me today. I've already chatted to some of you in the chat box. I always like to see when you guys interact with me and we can just have a good time talking about the work and helping each other learn more and develop in our skills. So without further ado, let's quickly look at what we'll be doing today. Our topic for today will be tariff systems. So it will be a little bit of a continuation from yesterday where we focused on financial documentation. As you guys know, my name is Mike Geldenhuys. You guys just normally call me Sir or Mr. G. That's great. If you have any questions and your homework, you guys can send to me to mgeldenhuys81@gmail.com. I see Megan wants to know where everybody is. Maybe we've seen some students log in a little bit later, a few minutes late, so I'm sure they will be with us shortly. Otherwise, if it's just a few of us today, it's also okay. We will just take some time, run through our focus or our objectives for this week, for today. Remember that our focus this week and next week will be on things that we have done during term 2. Okay, so it's just a bit of a recap. Today we will just quickly look again at the financial documents that we did yesterday. And then our main focus for today will be tariff systems. Okay, just one thing that I want to add with the financial documentation and what we discussed yesterday is this is just a little small thing we have to remember. It's an important thing with accounts and buying things on account from various stores. Although clothing and food stores allow you to open an account to buy goods on credit and pay off what you owe them on a monthly basis, many customers find themselves owing the store's money, unable to repay what they owe. And it's just a little thing that we have to keep in mind. Yes, sometimes it is nice to get something immediately and you don't have to wait for it and you can pay it off on a monthly basis. There are just a couple of things we have to remember with this. Most likely, yes, Megan, debt, that's not a good thing because most of the time you'll be paying more for an item than if you just bought it outright. Okay, and then if there are complications and you can't pay back the amount, I mean, then there are a whole bunch of other complications that can happen as well. So it's just something, and this is where money management really comes into play and we have to focus. I just wanted you guys to remember that. So let's quickly look at our review or recap from yesterday, some examples of financial documents that we use on just normal day-to-day life, which would be our water and electricity bills, our phone bills, clothing accounts, TV licenses. Now that one is not a monthly one. That one you will get on a yearly basis. Your credit card statements. And those are just some of the documentation we work with on a regular basis. I want to just go through our key concepts, our definitions for some words, only a few that I want us to focus on. Remember, a bill is a document detailing what items or services you have bought or how much you paid for them or the amount still outstanding. Bills can also be called invoices or account statements, depending on what information they provide. Next one we're going to look at is opening balance. As we discussed, opening balance is the amount due on the account before the current month's expenses have been added. This often includes the balance brought forward from a previous invoice if the last bill was not paid. Yes, it's also the case that sometimes some people pay a little bit extra, then the opening balance will be a credit. Sure, no problem. I'm going to give you guys a turn. Closing balance. Sharon just really wants to be interactive, and I absolutely love it. Let me ask you guys then, closing balance. Who can remember from yesterday, what did we say is the definition for our closing balance? I'll give you guys some time to type. Maybe you'll have to answer for us, Sharon. What is a closing balance? Quickly. Just a short sentence. We don't have to write out a whole long definition. I'm going to carry on just for now. Money has been paid. Megan. Okay, now our closing balance, not just the money that we've paid, but yes, it will include that as well. The closing balance is the total amount due after all the current month's expenses have been added and the previous payments have been deducted. So that would be the new balance at the end of all the expenses being added and all the payments being deducted. Okay, thank you guys. And then I think the last one, yesterday I made such a nice big mistake and you guys were so nice to help me. Value added tax. I took that away quickly. Let's see quickly. Who can tell me, who can remember what is value added tax? Value added tax. VAT. Who can quickly tell us what that is? Is tax that is added on to items. Okay, yes, value added tax is a fixed extra cost. We just had, there we go, very nice, Megan, it is 15%. Yesterday, I made the mistake by saying it was 14. I was stuck in the past. So yes, it is a fixed extra cost that is added automatically to the cost of most items and services in South Africa. And like we saw yesterday, there are some items and services that are exempt from VAT. There we go. That's a very nice one. A fixed amount of money that is added to certain items. Very good. That's a very nice Ntabo. Very nice. So yes, our VAT is calculated at a 15% of the total amount owed. Now, what I did do over here, you'll see I put a little star note down there. It says, please take note that all examples use VAT as 14%. If we answer our questions in our exams or tests, we always just have to make sure that we look, if they don't give us anything, we just take it as the value today, which will be 15%. But if they do ask a specific amount, we always just have to make sure that we work with the correct percentages. VAT is now at 15%, like you guys mentioned, since April 2019. Now, what is a tariff system? Who can tell me what is it? Today we will be looking at tariff systems. What is a tariff system? Who can tell me? What now? A tariff system. What is that? Okay, I'm going to tell you guys. A tariff system is a list or a schedule of, there we go, Sharon, a table of fixed charges. Wow, that's a very nice answer. Yes, it is a list or schedule of predetermined prices for services like trains, buses, electrical usage. Tariffs are predetermined rates that are used to determine how much money you owe for a given service. Okay, and you know what? Some tariff systems can be really, really complicating, and there can be so many aspects to a tariff system. We will just look at a very simple, a couple of simplified ones today, but you will see that a tariff system can be very complicating, especially if we look at tariff systems, for example, from telephone companies with all the different prices at different times, or who you call on which network you call them. So there can be that certain tariff systems have a lot of detail to them. And then others are a bit more simplified, which we will look at. Now, also with the tariff cost can be influenced by a number of factors. And we will also just look at a couple of those factors as we carry on. Who uses tariff systems? Okay, like I mentioned, the ones that we deal with almost on a daily basis, cell phone companies, transport companies, municipalities, and our data providers. Okay, can anybody think of any other companies or institutions that use some kind of tariff system that you deal with on a daily basis? I've only listed these 4, but who of you can give me some other examples of places that use tariff systems? Transport hubs, very good, yes. Parking lot at the mall. Wow, very nice. That's a very good answer. Thanks, Tira. Yes, the parking lot at the mall. Let's see, we'll wait for one more. See if somebody can come up with one more example. You are quite right. Certain banks do use tariff systems as well. It depends on how much money you deposit or how much money you have in your account, and then they will give you a certain amount of interest on your money. So yes, they also do use certain tariff systems. Great, guys. Thank you very much. Now, factors that can influence tariffs. Now, before I actually named a couple already, but before I'm going to say anything, let's see what factors can influence tariffs. Who can give me some examples of factors that can influence tariffs? I'm going to give you an example of one, the duration. Yes, for like when I think it was Tiro said the parking lots, depending on how long you park your car at the parking garage, then the longer you stay, the more you will pay. Decrease in customers or supply, there we go. We can also think of transport companies. If they have a full bus, then everybody will pay a reduced rate, whereas if the bus has to drive all the way from Joburg to Cape Town with only one person, that ticket might be a lot more expensive. We've got another one, yes, time. Think of when you're on your phone and you talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend and they are somewhere in a different country. The longer you spend on the phone, the bigger your bill will be. Or yes, and then also depending on, where you phone, it could be location. It is, if you phone local calls, they would be cheaper than if you phoned international calls. Yes, so there's a huge number of factors that can influence tariffs, like the quantity also. If you buy a larger quantity, then you would pay a different price. The distance like we mentioned with transport companies, maybe how far you have to drive, time of day. Time of day can also be a factor. If we think of cell phone companies, at night you can talk for cheaper than during the day. Type of service, it can also be one company you can have a nice bus with air conditioner where you could or you can just take a normal bus with no air conditioning. You have to open the windows. So depending on the service they provide, there can also be a tariff system for that. Amount of users, like we've discussed already. I think Megan mentioned that one. Location. Here we can also think of a courier company that delivers stuff. If they deliver from one big city to another city, then it would be cheaper for them than if they have to go somewhere in the desert where nobody else lives and they have to go and deliver something there. Then your cost will also be different. And then also frequency. Frequency is how often you do something. If we can think of transport company, maybe the bus system. Do you take the bus every day? Do you only take it once a week, once a month? And then there will also be tickets for those sort of things. Great, guys. Thank you very much. You guys are so smart. I love it. Okay, now this is where we're going to spend some time today. And we're going to look at just some examples and then some easy questions that we can work through together. But then tomorrow we will really sit down and we will just work through some examples. Okay, first of all, let's see, what is municipal tariffs? Okay, let me take that away. Seeing that. Okay, sure, this one. Tira wanted to take a screenshot of this one. And I see, guys, sorry, you have to excuse me sometimes as well. You can see let's see on the screen, who can pick up my mistake? This is just funny because I have changed it so many times. And every time I look at these slides, there's a mistake. I don't know how it happened, but who can pick up my mistake? On every slide so far, there has been a mistake. Who can pick it up? I just have to laugh at myself sometimes. The yellow line. No, the yellow line is actually, I like keeping the yellow line as a highlighter if I wanted to say something and I want to draw a line and I want to show you guys. I like highlighting things. So the yellow line is not a mistake. That's just so that I can show you guys where I am or the topic in the speech bubble. There we go. You will see on the one side, I don't know what I did, but I spelled tariff with 2 R's and 1 F. But then just on the other side and through the rest of it is right. So I've got no idea what I was thinking. But anyway, see, we all make mistakes. Here we go. Examples, municipal tariffs. Now, let's think of some example who can quickly just give you 1 or 2 examples of what kind of tariffs are we talking about when we talk about municipal tariffs? What could be included in that? Water payment. Yes, great. Anybody else? Thank you, Blessy. Water payments. And we will explain that now. Remember, municipal water and electricity. There we go. Garbage, just very good, guys. Thank you. Great. Yes, municipal tariffs include tariffs for electricity, water, refuge removal. They differ from one city to the next. This is where we also spoke about location. Every city don't charge the same amount for, or town, depending on which town you are in, there might be a difference in electricity rates, water rates, all those kind of things. That's why we also said one of the factors is location. But generally speaking, the more electricity or water you use in a month, the more expensive it is per unit. Your municipal bill also usually includes a monthly property rate based on the municipal value of your house. Again, the more your house is worth, the more you pay in rates. Now here we've got two examples of we will see this is for our water. So price per kiloliter, or down here, kiloliters of water. That is how much we use per month, okay? And then also the price per unit up here, and then so we can see on this table and on this graph, okay, they show the exact same thing. I've made little red squares now where we are. If we use between 0 and 9 kiloliters of water, we pay R9.50 per unit. Remember, this is per unit. And then another thing that it shows us over here, we have to remember this, it's excluding VAT. Just always remember to see whether or not, if the question wants you to include VAT or if they don't want you to use VAT. So just make sure what the table shows. If, for example, if this question wanted us to give us the bill at the end of the month and they still want us to calculate VAT, we just have to remember to add that in. The next step now is if you use more than 9 kiloliters of water, up to 25 kiloliters, you're going to pay. Who can tell me what will you pay? It's nice and easy. It's in blue. You can just tell me what will you pay if you use more than, there we go. You pay R11.22. And we can just go down the table like that. If we use 25, between 25 and 30, we will pay 14 Rand, and we will carry on like that. Okay, more than 45 kiloliters, then we will pay 25.36 Rand. So this shows us that this is one of the factors. Who can tell me, what would we name this factor? Remember the list we did? What factor would this be? If we had to give it a name, what name would we give this factor? Remember we said location or duration, or what would this factor be? Not frequency. Yes, we said location would be from municipality to municipality. But if we look at this per unit and it gets more expensive, it would be the quantity, how much we use. Okay, so quantity is a nice word for us to use to describe this factor. The quantity of what is used, amounts, yes. Now, this is for electricity. We're going to read this question or just this example together quickly, and I've demonstrated it nicely so we can have a look at it. Domestic electricity in the city of Cape Town is charged for using the tariffs below. For households who use more than 450 kilowatt hours of electricity per month, they refer to each category of electricity usage as a block. Okay, we will see here we've got block 1 between 0 and 150, block 2 from 150.1 to 300. Okay. And the tariffs are charged in cents. Now, obviously they are telling us that because it's something we have to take note at. It's cents. Now, we can imagine 129.05 cents. That is a small amount, so very small fractions that we are going to be using. But we have to remember a bill at the end of the month, it doesn't show us that we've used 18,000 or our total would be 18,000 cents. We will have to convert that into rands, but we will look at that as well. Okay. Here, look at this. They tell us that is included. Okay. So I've broken it up in little blocks so we can visualize what that little paragraph told us. So 0 to 150, 150.1 to 300 kilowatt hours, 350.01 to 600 kilowatt hours, and then more than 600. Those are the four blocks that this tariff system is divided into. Okay, so how many units in that first block we have? 150 units in that block. Block 2, so the first block, let's just quickly, I jumped ahead a bit, 150 units at 129 Rand 50. So if you would use more than 150 units, the first 150 will be charged at 129.05 cents. Okay. Our second block is 200 units. So there we see that our 200 units are charged at 134.65 cents. Our third unit is a total of 200, or our third block is a total of 250 units, and that is actually also charged at 134.65 cents. Okay, so there isn't really a difference between 150 and 300 and 350 and 600. It's only when you go over 600 then there's a big jump and it becomes more expensive. Now, let's quickly do some questions together. The City of Cape Town decides to introduce a fixed additional tariff for anyone who uses more than 350 kilowatt hours of electricity. This fixed cost is 24.45 Rand per month. Okay, so the cost is 24.45 plus the price per unit used. If Neil uses 423 kilowatt hours of electricity in a month, calculate what his total electricity cost will be. So here we can quickly look at our block system again, and we know now those are the units per block. Now we can do the questions. First, the same thing that I always tell you guys, we have to establish what do we know, okay? So a couple of things, if we read that question again, the City of Cape Town decides to introduce a fixed additional tariff for anyone who uses more than 350 kilowatt hours of electricity, okay? That cost will be 24.45. And what else do we know? We know the amount we pay per block. Okay, so that we've got that, we know that. We know that there's a fixed cost of 24 Rand if we use more than 350. And we also know that Neil used 423. If we look at that, is all the information we have. Okay. And then we have calculated on the previous one how many units there are in each block. So we know that Neil will be paying for the first 150. He will also be paying for the next 200. But then the third block, he's somewhere around there. You can see, how are we going to establish how many units did he use? So how many units are going to be in block 3? Who can quickly work that out for me? How many units in block 3 do Neil have to pay for? Remember, he used 423. There we go, Sharon, very nice. All we have to do is 423 minus, remember, the yellow block and the orange block is charged at a different rate. So we're not even going to look, we just take 423 minus 350, everything below the line. And in block 3, the green square, he is going to use 73 units, also at 134 cents and 134.65 cents. Okay, so now we just have to start doing our calculations. Let's just get all that information there again. Now, first of all, that we have to remember is there's a basic cost. Okay, so our bill can start out with $24.45 because we know that if we take this line over here, we know that Neil used more than 350. Okay, so we start out with our basic cost of 24 Rand. I see Tiro ask, where does the 423 come from? If we look up in the question, Tiro, if you look at the question actually tells us that, Neil, I'm circling it for you. It actually tells us that Neil used 423. Can you see that, Tiro? I see now. There we go. Great. So block 1, we've got 150 units times 129.05 cents, which gives us a big total of 19,357.5 cents. Now, how do we change from cents to Rand? Who can quickly tell me? If we want to change something from cents into Rands, how are we going to go about that? Well, let me ask, how many cents are there in 1 Rand? Yes, we convert, but how many cents are there in 1 Rand? No, not 50, guys. How many cents? 100. There we go. Yes, 100 cents in 1 Rand. Okay, so if we want to convert the cents, no problem, Tira, that's fine. Like you saw earlier, my spelling was also, I also made a mistake. So it happens to the best of us. So if we want to convert cents to rands, we just divide by 100. So we can see over here, we've got, whoops, didn't want to do that. I changed to a pen. I want to go back to my highlighter. 193 Rand and 0.575 cents. Now we are not going to convert or simplify the decimal places right now because we deal with so many little fractions and even the cost per unit is quite small. We will only round at the end once we've counted everything together. Okay, so don't round over here or at this stage. Only at the end we will round together. We will round the total. Okay, block 2, we know he used the entire block 2, so that would be 200 times the 134.65 cents, and that would give us a total of 26,930 cents. Again, to get Rand value, we divide that by 100, and it will give us the 230. Block 3, we already determined that Neil only used, let me go back to my pen, Neil only used 73 units in block 3. So that is why we say 73 times 134.65 cents, and that would give us 9,829.45 cents. And then again, to make it the value in Rand, we divide by 100. That gives us 98 Rand 0.2945 cents. And then we're just going to count it all together. 24 plus 193 plus the 296. So this one, this one, this one, and this one together. And that gives us a total of 585.6195 Rand. And now here we can, why are we using, I see a question, Tiro, why are we using 134.65? You'll see, let me quickly go back. You'll see here is our column. That is what they have provided us with. You will see block 1 is 129.05. Block 2 and block 3 is 134.65. Okay, that is just the amount per unit of kilowatt hours. And then block 4, more than 600, will be 159. Can you see that? Okay, got it. Great. And then now we can just make our totals 0. So it's 0.6195. So then we can just make it 2 decimals. Then it will be, Neil will pay at the end of the month, he will pay 585 Rand and 62 cents. Okay. Is that difficult, guys? Does everybody understand where I got all the information? Don't be scared to ask. If you're not sure where I find something, then we can go back and we can quickly have a look again. Okay. Yes, I've got a yes. Yes. Okay, so let's look at our telephone tariffs. Now, I've made a very simplified one over here because telephone tariffs can be quite complicating. Tiro, don't worry, Tiro, tomorrow we're going to practice a lot. Okay, let's read this together quickly. Fixed phone line and cell phone service providers also commonly charge you for calls using tariffs. The tariff cost can be influenced by factors like the distance of the call. Is the call local? Is it overseas? So over here we have example, calls overseas are always more expensive than local calls. And the time of day, most service providers offer cheaper rates in the evening depending on which phone package you use. Now here's a very basic one. You can see we have distance. Anything further than 50 kilometers from where you call is seen as long distance. Okay, and then if we look at that way, then you can see that there will be a difference in the call rate. Okay, so rands per second, that will be 0.00700, or if it's a long distance, 0.0095 cents. So these are very small fractions we're dealing with. So we have to be very careful to write them down exactly. Okay, and then this way we can see another factor is the time of day. Okay, that column just tells us that there's a fixed rate. We have to remember that just to keep it in mind. Then the next one says Monday to Friday, from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. There's a certain rate, that is our standard time. And then there's a call more time, which is also Monday to Friday, but from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning, and then from Friday 7 till Monday, so the entire weekend. Okay, so just looking at this is going to be a very easy question. What factors can influence the cost of a call? If we just look at this, I'm going to answer you guys now. If we just look at this, what factors will influence the cost? The time. Okay, yes. The time isn't shown here, but we know that the longer you spend. Time is a big one, yes. But what are the 2 factors that they show on this distance? There we go. Very good. The distance. It is, if it's less than 50 kilometers, it is local. And if it's further than 50 kilometers, it is long distance. just look at my orange block. What is that? That would be the time of day. So that would be the time of day. And then like Tiro said in the beginning, duration. How long you spend on that call will also make a big, big difference. Okay. I'm not sure who asked it. I think it went away now. I saw somebody asked it about which textbook I used. The examples on this one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to confirm for you guys now, but I think this might be, give me 1 second. I don't want to lie to you guys. This, okay. I will look for you guys now and I will just confirm for you, but I'm not quite sure which one I used. I use about 3 different textbooks, and I will remember to just add the names in if I use an example so that you guys know exactly which textbook I use. Okay, but I do use it off I think it's called Snapperfly. It's just a free resource that we are allowed to use. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so let's quickly carry on. Now this one, I'm going to show you an example, and I'm going to give you guys some homework about this question just to go home and try and do for me. Okay, so here, transport tariffs work much the same as municipal or phone tariffs. They may apply to train travel, buses, taxis. Generally, transport tariffs are charged per unit of distance, how far you have to go. And the further you need to travel, the higher the tariff, and therefore the more expensive your ticket. Buses and trains in South Africa are exempt from VAT. Okay, remember yesterday we said some services and some items, goods, are exempt from VAT. Now here we can see in our column, first of all, like they said in the example, it is units of distance. Okay, how far do you need to go? Okay, distance over there. And then here, if we look at that, there's single, return, weekly, and monthly. And if we have to use a word to describe that, we say frequency. How frequently do you use the bus to go to work and to school? Do you just use it? Maybe I just want to go to, if I live in Johannesburg, I quickly want to go to the airport. It's not a place you go to every single day. So then you might just buy a single ticket. But if you go to school and you use a taxi or a bus every day, every month, then it's better for you to buy a monthly ticket. So here, frequency plays a big role in your tariff. Okay, so now everybody, I want you to take a screenshot of this. This is your homework. You're going to be using that same tariff table that I just showed you guys, and you're going to answer these 5 easy questions. They're really easy, you'll see. So I want everybody to quickly take a screenshot of this. I'm going to read the question. David travels 22 kilometers on the train every day to work and back. Again, he buys a single ticket for every trip that he makes. Is that a smart thing to do? To buy a single ticket every time he travels? No, it's not. Definitely not. So there are just a couple of questions. Very easy. I want you guys, did everybody take a screenshot? I will come back to this just now. And then I wanted to invite everybody again to come back tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll be using Tarrif Systems to make calculations similar to what we've just done in the example, and then interpreting and comparing graphs. So we will really focus, I won't be focusing so much on the definitions and explaining things. We will just really take a couple of questions, and we will sit through them and work through them together. Okay, so come back tomorrow and we're going to practice a bit more. Then these are some really nice resources, www.siavula.com and then education.gov.za for some more information. And then you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. There's the information. I'm going to go back to the homework screen, just for those that haven't had the time to make a screenshot of that quickly. But then I just want to thank you guys for, and remember guys, these are fixed tariffs. So it's if you buy a ticket, you'll see, let's just take the first one. If you want to take a single trip and it's only 10 kilometers away, you will buy a single ticket for R4. So nothing changes here. It is fixed cost per ticket, or if you want to buy a return ticket, remember return ticket is to going somewhere and coming back. Okay, so but then we will look at some of these again tomorrow, and we will go through this question as well. So I really want you guys to go home, see if you can answer these questions, and we're going to spend some time tomorrow. But thank you very much, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have a lovely afternoon.